Today on Drawbli, we are drawing
Warriors.
Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And comment below with ideas of other things we can paint in the future.
Other warriors. So our prompt was warriors, obviously. I am working off of this beautiful Magic the Gathering card.
Oh, is it a Magic the Gathering card? Cool.
It's artwork from a Magic the Gathering card. And I apologize, I do not remember the original artist's name off the top of my head, but I will put it down in the description.
Great. And I am working off a cosplay that actually listed the name maybe of either the photographer or the cosplayer, and I will list both down below, assuming I can refine that image and that information again. And I do intend to.
And did you find this on Pinterest, I assume?
I think originally that
it is
Google
always
Images.
Impossible to find the original source of anything on Pinterest. One of my, well, not one of, but the least favorite thing about Pinterest. Either way, tell me about your strategy here with your warrior, Sekiro.
Okay, well, we're starting out with the background. Thinking I'm gonna just kind of blur out the background, leave the foreground a little bit more in focus. It's got too much going on, so I'm not really gonna spend a lot of time on it.
It does have a lot going on.
So I'm just gonna block something in that's kind of rough.
It is a really cool just environment with all the reflections in the water, the stones. It's cool.
And I wanted to impress a certain boy in my life, so I chose something from his favorite video game.
Oh, who is it?
It's you.
Oh, this is my favorite video game?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah, your favorite video game is definitely a word that I remember how to say off the top of my head. You want to hear me try?
Sekiro.
Oh, I was only going to be off by one syllable. I was going to say Sekira, but I know that's not right.
Sakura.
Yes.
Yeah, Sekiro. It is a From Software game. The people who make
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a really fun game.
And this is a cosplay from that game.
Very cool, very cool. I tried.
Look at you sketching in.
Yeah, so I tried to blend some techniques because we've been using the selection lasso a lot. You know, if you've been watching Drawbli. No, I'm not. We've been using the selection I've been using the selection lasso a lot. So I wanted to try to blend some techniques. Start off with a rough sketch to get some lines in, get some ideas
its energy.
going.
Yeah.
I am horrible at rough sketches, which is why a little bit of, we do a lot of studies on Drawbli. So a study I'd like to do here soon is a, what do they call it? Gesture study.
Oh, that'd be so fun. I love
drawing.
that. Yeah.
Because I'm just, I don't know, I use a lot of short staccato lines that don't have a lot of energy.
I think the short, I don't know, I don't totally agree. I think the short staccato brings its own energy. It's a sharp energy, a warrior energy, if you will. Yes, it's not the big flowy, but I actually like the hard angles and corners. I think that is its own energy that is very fun.
I literally don't know how a curve works, so I have to draw sharp lines.
Curves get out of control so quick. You never know where a curve's going to end up.
That's not completely true. I'm doing some curves.
I'm doing a sketch here with the selection tool.
No, it totally works.
Just to block out where things end.
And where they begin.
Yeah, to get my forms in a little bit. And then on a separate layer, I start adding in the colors.
That's really cool.
And that's what I have to say about that. But back to you.
I spend way too long on my initial sketch because I never know how much to do with the sketch, but I feel like in the end, pretty much the only thing the sketch is good for this image at least, is to just guide my work that I do on top of that later.
Absolutely.
But I think I mainly use a brush on top of this. I would like to just to kind of get away from the super hard edges that I've been doing lately, try to get in and practice soft edges a little more. I've been really, for pretty much the entire extent of Drawbli, using the flat brush. I just pretty much use that forever and not really too much else. I still think it's a really good brush. I would like to try to get back into that, kind of using a lot of the techniques that I've picked up from using the selection lasso, from using those hard edges. I think that there's a lot to learn and practice after, experimenting in this area.
Yeah, I love the idea of dedicating yourself to one type of workflow, sequentially, trying a new one, and then trying to marry them all together in a nice way.
Yeah, I never want to, I've talked many times about how, like, I don't really care too much about the end result of what I create. It's more about, like, the process of creating. And that's, like, the whole point of Drawbli. We do 3 of these a week. We don't really care if it ends up looking too horrible, because we've made a bunch of horrible pieces already. We know that we can make horrible art. We're not afraid of making horrible art. Maybe initially we had some reservations, but at this point we're like, we don't care. We know.
Yeah.
We know we're gonna make some uggos.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's less about the finished piece and more about the journey.
It totally is about the journey and the learning and watching myself make mistakes, but also watching myself make little triumphs along the way. Like, oh, I love how that little spot turned out, and I will remember that for future work.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, Drawbli can also be a place where people can see the mistakes that we make and kind of learn from what we do.
Oh, yeah. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm browsing Art Talk and I just see so many amazing, incredible artists creating beautiful finished pieces in seemingly 3 minutes, I don't want to say it. It's not like consciously discouraging, but I wonder if there's not a subconscious element of, oh wow,
for sure.
Look at all those amazing people.
Oh yeah, 100%. I on my last video that I did on my YouTube channel, on the Polygon channel, there were quite a few comments about people just saying like, hey, thanks for mentioning like how long this actually took. Because in the beginning of the video, if you haven't seen it,
your new video on YouTube?
My new video on YouTube.
I have seen your new video on YouTube. I watch
didn't know
all
if
your videos.
Oh, you do? Oh, wow, that's so sweet of you. So I talked quite a bit about the kind of misnomer of digital art online, where we see a lot of finished pieces, but we don't often see the hard work that goes into them. It's hard to see here's a beautiful painting done in 5 minutes on a YouTube time lapse, and it's even titled speed paint. Why did they title it speed paint when they spent 10 hours on it, though?
And just sped it up?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a, there's a lot of those kind of misnomers out there with digital art and with art in general. I don't know why that is, if people want to if it's intentional, like, hey, I want to kind of beat my own drum a little bit, kind of come across
and there's
as,
a place for that, certainly.
Flexing on people.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I'm here to show you all my nasty, dirty Gerblin drawings and paintings, and that's all I got.
That's what we got.
One day I'll be better.
One day, and you'll have been here to witness the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've already come so far. And, when we probably started Drawbli, or when a lot of people probably start drawing and painting, there's so much that you don't know. Like, there's so much, you don't know what you don't know, is like the common phrase.
Yeah.
And that is so, so, so true when it comes to art. Like, I have learned a very difficult art medium already, and I'm, pretty proficient in it, some might say.
I would.
So I know what it takes, and I know how long it can take to reach that level of proficiency. And it takes a long time and a lot of dedication. So I'm in it for the long haul. Like I said, I'm just here to learn slowly and get better, because that's
part of our human experience.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it's fun.
It's so fun.
Like,
having any creative medium in your life.
Yeah.
And improving, it's the greatest.
You don't always see that improvement, but you can always, take the time to look back.
I feel like everybody should have something in their life that's just fun.
Just fun.
Just fun. No hustle, just fun.
Yeah, that's actually one thing about what we do here, is we're not like in a hurry. Like, we are definitely like, I think some people put arbitrary like deadlines on themselves, like, oh, I'm going to be working in the industry in X number of months or years or whatever. We're just like, I don't know, we're going to get better at this.
This is not burdensome on our lives.
It's definitely something that we do for fun.
It holds us a little accountable to keep like improving and practicing and trying, but that part of it is more like just beneficial.
Oh my gosh, tell me about the beneficial things you're doing in this arm, because that looks really cool.
So with this whole piece,
this is a lot of texture.
This is one where I just felt like there's just so much going on all over the place, everywhere. The eye doesn't know where to look. It's not even, it's not that great, but
So did you do anything to like alleviate some of that?
No,
create a focal point?
I just recognize it after the fact.
Well, that is a good thing. That's what we're here also to do, is recognize our own mistakes and avoid those in the future, and recognize what we do good.
Maybe in the end, his face has a little bit more simplicity in the number of shapes that I use for it. So perhaps you could say that that's like a focal point, and it is a face, so a pretty natural focal point on its own. The whole thing is a little.
My little Gerblin over here has quite a few issues, but one of them is also a similar issue to what you have, which is an area of focus. There's a lot of contrast in this image with the colors, which again with this one I did not sample from. This could have turned out a lot better if I did that. I think also, I don't know if I was tired or what, but I don't think I really like took a step back and looked at this with like, you know, that normal type of editing that I would do to like take a step back and thumbnail view it.
Yeah.
So I definitely kind of suffer from the same thing where I don't really have focus. But using a lot more shapes in one area is a really good way to do that. Have that contrast of complexity. Normally you'll see that applied to an area like a face, where you'll have a lot more complex forms and shapes there to bring the focus in, and then a lot less complexity in other areas.
That is the opposite of what I've done in this.
Well, hey, it really depends what you're trying to have people focus on. You, as the artist, get to lead the viewer wherever you want. So it's like, hey, if you want to bring focus to this really awesome garment, or maybe like another thing that you could do with focus is make your sword like this, you know, almost brighter, lighter, glowing value to help bring focus to that.
Cool.
And then have the rest of the scene or character be dark. Like, there's so much you can do. But obviously, before you do that, you have to have the intention of doing that.
Knowledge to see that that's an issue to begin with.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing right now. Yeah. You know, you're noticing that issue.
I learned that here, and maybe with future pieces, you're going to see a better mastery. Maybe. A hint of a better Oh my gosh, the work I did on this silly hand forever. I'm just laughing looking back at what I was... I don't know what I was trying to do.
Hands are hard.
I didn't even want it to be good. I just wanted it to not be like really, 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 really bad.
And
I don't know if I even achieved that.
I think you did.
I noodled around on it for quite a bit. I just remember that. It's very funny to me.
Yeah, hands are quite difficult. Hands are second only to faces, in my opinion, in their complexity. They have a lot of character, a lot of gesture.
Yeah, I desperately struggle with shoes and feet. Not even feet themselves, but shoes.
Oh, yeah?
Struggle so hard with shoes. Like his boots, I spent a lot of time on too and never got those very good either. But that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is just, you know, representing a form, representing a shape, using those differing values. This is why a lot of the time I don't look up tutorials for a lot of things. Like, I didn't look up tutorials for how to paint clouds. Although that is something that, you know, since then I have looked at some images of processes that other artists have done to kind of just get a better idea of that. But like, I will never, ever, ever in a million years look up a tutorial of how to paint a shoe or how to paint a sword, because I know that it's all the same process. It's just a different shape that you're trying to represent. Maybe a different example might be something metallic, right? That's, you know, oh, you're trying to represent metal. It's like, oh, I have no idea how to do that. Maybe you could, you know, learn something from that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like I like, even with sculpting, you know, I would never look up a tutorial of how to sculpt something specific. It's all the same to me.
Right. You're just sculpting the shape that's in front of you, the colors that are in front of you, and you get it to looking at the point you want it to look like.
It's all about, it's all about practice and learning and making some gnarly, nasty Gerblin teeth.
Something I do love about your whole piece was his teeth. You just made them so nasty. And I love that. Like, they're bad teeth done very well.
That's a good way to describe it, yeah. I remembered your robot, your bot without a butt that you did, and that metallic stuff. I should have tried to apply some of that strategy here a little more to the metallic spiky crown thing that he is wearing.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a good place for me to practice that. But I think I was pretty much on autopilot for this one, which, you know, it happens. It happens. It's something that, you know, I try to avoid. I really don't like to listen to things too often while, I don't know if you like,
Listen to stuff?
Yeah, do you
not
like
usually.
Listen to music?
No.
I refuse to, especially when I'm sculpting, I really can't listen to a podcast or anything like that unless I am like super doing something mindless.
Like the last little refining things? What's mindless for you?
Hair that is complex but really isn't difficult. There are a lot of things that have complexity that are pretty easy to just mindlessly sit there and do. It's just something that's going to take like 5 hours. So I'm going to sit down and work on this hair for the next 5 hours. I'm just going to put on a podcast and like get it done. But if I just mindlessly work on something, well, kind of like this goblin, I end up, you know, falling back into old habits, not super focused on what I'm doing, and I don't really learn anything from doing that. It's super important to be focused while you work. I mean, I painted something just the other day, and I actually just kind of sat on the couch and chilled and listened to a podcast, and I did that for an hour while I painted, and when I looked at my finished piece, I was like, oh, I really didn't make too much progress on this. And that is because I was kind of like on autopilot, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great place to be.
Sometimes it's hard to know, though, what you want to improve on because you don't always know what you need to improve on.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I definitely don't know where to go next. I know the selection tool, it was a step in the right direction for me in terms of cleaning up my edges and really starting to focus on my shapes.
Where to next?
Well, I think for me, I need to keep going with this. I haven't really mastered it. And I'd like to see...
I mean, I have,
I'd like to take it farther and try to get better at it before I go back, like you said, to trying to bring in some of my other style. Because it's a really powerful tool.
So powerful.
So powerful.
The most powerful, some might say.
Yeah, it's something like that.
I see, so the reason why I started playing around with this is I had recently, and I have seen many artists that only specifically paint with the lasso selection tool. Like that is the only thing they ever use ever. And I had recently seen a video of a woman painting a landscape using the selection tool, and I think it was on a Proco video. If I can find it, I'll put a link down in the description for it, because it's really interesting the way she paints. Because she will use the selection tool, but she will even make it more simple by only using like the box shape. She'll only make like a square shape or an oval shape. She won't use like the hand-drawn,
I'd love to see that.
forms. Yeah, it's super interesting.
That's really cool. She must be very talented, very practiced.
Yeah, the landscapes end up looking gorgeous.
I'd like to do more landscapes and environments specifically.
So do you like doing environments more than characters? Is that where you have shifted to now? Because I will not have that in our household.
I love characters, but I feel bad that I can't add to their story. Like, I can draw a character, but then
But
it's
you can
just
add to the environment story?
Well, the environment the character's in is the story. It's so much a part of the story, and I want to give them that story.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah, thanks.
So, you're in the environment camp now, huh?
Well, I think it's the next step to add to my character story.
Wow. I just put this blurry, smudgy thing in the background, and that's
and where is he?
That's
What's
my
he
story.
doing? Is he in a dream?
Well, you'd
in
have to read the
clouds?
text on the magic card that tells you
Oh.
his whole backstory. For sure.
Yeah, some textual context is needed.
I love your finished piece. I think it's really cool.
Thank you. I really like yours. I think the colors are really striking and the contrast is really cool. This was fun to look at.
Why, thank you. That's very kind of you. Well, hey, click that subscribe button if you guys are new around here.
And comment below with ideas of other things we can draw in the future.
And this is the part where we say...
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Do you think our stomach grumblings picked up on the microphone?
Almost definitely. I will go get the food ready.